feel like I'm sitting down for a documentary. But we're not. This is just the first sit-down video on my channel of 2026. This is so exciting, and today's video, everybody wait for it, it is a book video. I know. We have not seen one of these on my channel since probably 2022, 2023. And it was just one video and I never continued it again, which is kind of embarrassing on my part. One of my goals for 2026 was to obviously read more. Reading has been a part of my life ever since I was a child. 2025, I fell off really hard. Probably read less than 10 books, and I can barely even remember any of the ones I read, so I really wanted to start getting back into the reading grind. So I compiled a TBR for 2026. TBRs are kind of the death of me a little bit, only because there's a presence around it where I think that I have to read every single one of these books. I end up making my TBRs extremely long, and then I just stress out and then none of it gets read. So what I did is I carefully compiled books that are either new releases this year, because one thing about me is I have not been keeping up with new releases since probably like 2022. In like high school, I was like up to date on every romance book, everything that was coming out, and now I'm just a few months behind those things, and then they end up just not getting read. Oh, hi Stormy. My cat is now in here. I looked at like Goodreads lists. I watched my favorite booktubers videos where they talked about new releases that they wanted to read, and I just kind of looked at those and compiled things that I want to read, because I think I have very similar reading styles. I follow about like 3 or 4 booktubers, watch their videos pretty religiously, and I feel like we do have a very similar reading style, so I trust their opinions with my life. Hello. Me and my cat have an interesting relationship. Sometimes we like each other, sometimes we don't. I have a few new reads, but then also I have a few reads that were favorites of 2025, so I could read in 2026. They didn't necessarily come out in 2025, but that's when just people read them, discovered them, loved them. So I am going to get into it. There's only 12, one for each month of the year. Again, didn't want to make it super lengthy. I'm not sure exactly when some of these new releases are coming out, and I'm hoping none of them all come out in like the month of April or something. But I think I have a nice little like spread of books that I'm really looking forward to reading, and I already read one book on my list, so I'm doing very well. Also, for anyone saying, Avery, it's already the middle of January, of course you've already started reading these books. January is an entire month of resets for me. You have the entire month of January to change your life and do whatever you want for your New Year's resolutions, especially while I'm still home and my like real life hasn't even started yet. I've been able to kind of just use this time as my rebranding, especially for books. But this is in no particular order, because again, some of these are new releases, some of them are not, and I also have no idea when half of them are coming out. So the first one on my list is Just Friends by Haley Pham. It is a romance book. Haley Pham is one of the book YouTubers I read, but then also I've been following her since like her dance days. She's also just a beautiful, delightful person, and I'm so excited for this romance book. I think it is a friends book, friends to lovers, my favorite trope ever. So I think that's a controversial trope, but that's one of my favorites in romance books. The next one is My Husband's Wife by Alice Feeney. I never read an Alice Feeney book, but I've heard really good things, and my mom has read her books. She also really likes them. I trust my mom's opinion when it comes to thrillers, because that's literally all she will read. She's a kind of girl of someone either dies in the book or I'm not going to read it. I love thrillers. I think I'm more of a romance, literary fiction, thriller reader than I am of like fantasy or other things. There's also no fantasy books on this list, I don't think, because fantasy books stress me out and I genuinely have to be in the mood to read them. ACOTAR is on my horizons potentially. I know I'm like 5 years behind on it, but also when it came out I was like 12 and probably shouldn't have been reading it anyways. But I think that would be like an honorary mention of this video, is the ACOTAR series. If I get to it, great. If I don't, I'm scared. I have a few. This might be the only thriller I have on here. I didn't want to put too many, but I'm really excited. I think this one comes out soon in January, so thrillers are just really easy for me to read. Love reading them. I just like the mystery aspect of it. They just never bore me. The next book is The Night We Met by Abby Jimenez. Love Abby Jimenez. Not sure if I've read every single one of her books, but I hit a really big Abby Jimenez phase in 2024, so we need to get back into it in 2026 because I have not read her release from 2025. I have the physical copy, I just haven't read it. So maybe we can hit a double whammy with both of those books. And I think they're interconnected, if I'm not mistaken, or it's interconnected to one of her previous books. The next book is Our Perfect Storm by Carly Fortune. I have not read a single Carly Fortune book because I heard that in like the first one that got really popular, there's a cheating trope and everybody hated it. So then I was like, okay, why am I gonna waste my time reading these books? But then I heard really good things about her book release from last year, so I have hopes for her book release for this year. I'm sure it's gonna come out like during like the summertime because that's kind of like her niche at this point. Am I gonna read last year's book? It's not on my top priority list. If I genuinely have nothing else to read, then maybe I'll dive into her other books, or if I really like her writing style. That's kind of the only reason why I would go back on previous releases for authors, is if I really like the way that they write. Next book is The Shippers by Catherine Senner. I've heard really good things about Catherine Senner and her writing style. Haven't read any of her books, so may as well hop on the Catherine Senner train by reading her newest release first. I think that's a good hack for getting into an author is to read the newest release that they have and then go backwards, because sometimes people are like, the newest release isn't as good as the book from 5 years ago. So I like to revert backwards. So we're gonna start to do that with Catherine Senner, but I think a lot of her books have been on 5-star lists from people that I follow. So I will be on the lookout for that. I'm sure that's also a romance book as well. The next book is In Her League by Liz Time Ford. She's starting a new series. I have another thing I have 2 Liz Time Fords on here. I have the entire Windy City series on here as well. I know that's not one book, but I feel like they're pretty easy reads. I randomly, again last year, read like spring semester, read one of the books. I think it was like the second one. It was the basketball one. And I really loved it, and then I just didn't continue her series since. And I'm on a really big like sports kick from like things I've been reading lately and watching. So I just really want to read all of Windy City. I know I can do it. So then by the time I read all of those, I can start up her newest series, because I think she does like sports books kind of like no other, in my opinion. I think she's one of like the best sports romance writers, so I definitely want to deep dive. I'm not sure how many books the Windy City, that is a tongue twister, series is. We're gonna have to look into that, but I'm assuming In Her Own League, baseball potentially. I love baseball. I haven't read a baseball book before. That's exciting. So that's kind of a double whammy of In Her League and then the entire Windy City series. The next book I want to read is Unbound by Peyton Corinne. I think this is also a sports romance. It's a previous series, but everyone says you can read them as standalones. Maybe since I am in like a little bit of a sports kick, that I will read the previous 2 before the new one, but I think they can all pretty much be kind of on their own. Sorry everyone, I had to do a brief intermission because my camera acted like it was going to die in that second, so we needed it to charge for about 10 minutes to finish this video. But I believe I was talking about Unbound and just mainly sports romances in general. I am not sure when this one comes out, but maybe I'll read the two before this one. TBD on that. Again, I'm really into like sports romances or just sports books in general right now, so I feel like I would be okay reading the 2 others before this one. The next one, or the next few, I don't think they are they're not new releases, Again, the Windy City series, that one's not new release, but one of them is May Luna by Ellie McNay. I've heard such good things about this book, and the premise of it is like a Wattpad story where you're a groupie to a famous singer. Everyone says it's like so like YA encoded. Count me in on that one. I definitely want to make that like a February read, because I think February is like where you want to read your most like romance books. So I don't know if it's a romance, but I just like can't wait to read. The premise of that just seems so good, and it's been on a lot of top rated lists. The next one I want to read is Broken Country by Claire Leslie Hall. I don't know too much about this book. I just know that, again, it was a highly rated book of 2025. And people say that's a very fast-paced book. So anything that says fast-paced, I'm really into. Again, I love reading, but it's just kind of going back into reading again, where I couldn't read Fourth Wing right now, you know, like that would probably put me in a reading slump for 3 months. So I'm just trying to keep things that I'm loving, books that are less than like 300 pages, so I can just bust those out in like a few days. And I hear that Broken Country is just very fast-paced in general, because that's kind of why I like thrillers as well, because they're all very fast-paced and you just want to know what keeps happening. And the next book I have already read, and it's The Favorites by Lane Fargo. When this was approached to me, the main selling point was ice skaters and a lot of drama. Yes, anything that has a lot of drama, I'm in with it. And then they kind of had like a socialite celebrity aspect to it. They're very famous. There was just so much going on. I was deeply connected to the characters, and I have not been deeply connected to characters in a book in a while. Spoiler, this is my first 5-star read, and is the second book I've read this year. So that's kind of like, oh, we're either gonna keep going, or we're gonna tank immediately. Hoping we don't tank, but this was a very, very good book, and I highly recommend it to so many people. And also, if you've watched Heated Rivalry, like I have, and probably everyone and their mom, the Olympics and kind of the premise that is in The Favorites, yeah, kind of all of the Olympics that they go to in Heated Rivalry, it crosses with the Olympics that they go to in The Favorites. So that is why I'm really on a sports kick, because reading The Favorites just kind of reminded me how fascinated I am kind of by ice dance and ice skating in general, and then watching Heated Rivalry. So I definitely am going to go through a phase. I'm going through a phase. I finished Heated Rivalry yesterday, and I don't know what to do with my life, but it's okay. So if you want to pair that a little bit, I know Heated Rivalry, the books as well. Maybe I'll get to those before season 2, but I do have a good lineup of other sports romances to fill my soul. Anyways, and the last book I want to read in 2026, again, this is no particular order, but My Friends by Frederick Backman? His name has been everywhere, especially in 2025. He was on so many people's reading wraps. Everybody loved his books. He was highly rated. I want to jump on the train. I'm not really sure the premise of this book. I just know that it's really good. That's kind of what I like about my list, is I don't know too much about any of these books. I wasn't even judging a book by its cover. I was kind of judging a book by its name and its reputation. So I think that's better than judging someone by their cover. Anyways, that is my 2026 TBR. We're already doing really good with having one book read, and it's January, so I'm very hopeful for the rest of the year. I've kind of mentioned it maybe in my other video, I'm not sure. My goal is 40 books this year. That's the goal that I had when I was like low-key in elementary school, and I always completed it, so that's what we're starting back up for our back into reading year. I'm doing very well. I've read 2 books and reading like 2 books right now, listening more to audiobooks, so just been very entertained. As far as like more sit down book videos, I'm not sure what I want to do yet, because with my goal, I would only need to read about 3 to 4 books a month, and I don't know if 4 books can make a whole video. So I might do every 2 months, might do every, like, what I read during spring semester, what I read. It just kind of depends on how fast I read things. I'm nervous for when I go back to school because I don't prioritize reading as much, but a lot of my reading has been done at night, which is good. So if I just get in the process of reading books at night, then I'll be able to continue forwards. So basically that is my reading premise. Welcome back to another book video. We haven't had one in 3 years, so maybe not welcome back. So welcome to the first book video of 2026. I will be updating you. I would love to do more like reading vlogs and things like that. Let me know what you want to know, or if y'all really don't care about reading much. I mean, I'll still post reading videos because it's a hobby that I deeply care about, but just let me know if you're genuinely that interested, because I can make it my whole personality, or I can just do it on the down low like I am in this video. But thank you so much for watching. I was so excited to sit down with y'all today, and I'll catch y'all on the flip side.